and Vugu Nayosi, Black Revolutionary Now. Just wanted to speak on Juneteenth, June 19, 1865, and the importance of Juneteenth before Joe the bigot Biden and the Democrats sign a bill to make it a national holiday. Now, for people who know the history on Juneteenth, this have been a day that Black people in America specifically celebrated, and we didn't need no white person permission. We didn't need it to be a national holiday for us to come together, and celebrate Juneteenth. And for those who pay attention, the reason why Joe the bigot Biden and his Democrat administration signed that bill, it was to pander for Black people, to feel like they were doing something good for Black people. But we all know that is all symbolism, rhetoric. That is not tangibles. Tangibles is reparation, cash. Tangibles is land. That is what tangible is. Not no statue or no holiday or a t-shirt saying Juneteenth on it, or a mug saying Juneteenth on it. No, that's all white supremacy gimmick. So it is very important that we Black people stand unified and say, hands off of Juneteenth. Just imagine that a day when Black people decided to make that specific day the ending of slavery, which was perpetrated by white people enslaving our people. They want to make it a day so they could have a day off, so they could relax. It's crazy. We have to make sure we not only own that day, but we can let white people make this into some kind of gimmick. This is a sacred thing for Black people. And we all know the saying, once the white man give you something, he could also take it back. So all these holidays that this white supremacy government want to make a day for maybe like a leader or something significant based on our pain, based on our oppression. They want to ponder our feelings into giving us something that doesn't amount to anything but there's symbolism. Nah, we're not gonna accept that. So hands off of Juneteenth. So all these people who want to come in and coattail this holiday, when this holiday was created by enslaved Black people. So we're not going to let other groups of people come in and make a claim on something that have nothing to do with them. Absolutely nothing. Especially white people. Especially white people. Juneteenth is a sacred day. So I don't care what the white man books say. I don't care what he write into law, whatever. I don't care, because we all know the white man words on paper or vocally doesn't mean anything, just based on his action and history proven. It doesn't mean nothing. Just remember, white people was responsible for Dr. King assassination, specifically the CIA. And the same white people, specifically Ronald Reagan, who was responsible for Rex 84. Look up that if someone want to know about Ronald Reagan and Reaganomics. This is the same man who destroyed so much of Black people in America. And this is the same man who signed a bill to make Dr. King Day a national holiday, so white people could have a day off. And these are the same people who assassinated Dr. King. So we're not gonna fall for this trick bag. We gotta know our history, and we have to know the people who try to pull a fast one right before our eyes. Hands off of Juneteenth. Hands off of Juneteenth. And Vugu Nyosi. Black revolutionary now.
Juneteenth is a deeply emotional moment for enslaved people, because for decades, for centuries, enslaved people prayed for, hoped for, fought for in the form of slave rebellions, running away, bought their freedom when they could. And if you read slave narratives, if you listen to spirituals from the era of slavery, you know that enslaved people longed for freedom. This was something that had been hoped for, but many believe may never come.
Mother promised to give me $40 a month in pay. Then lots of the boys say they ain't want it. They rather go free, you know.
Being able to go wherever they wanted, being able to wander about. For enslaved people, it was an expression of their freedom.
Well, that photo was the one that long missed photo, one of our white folks in Navy. He come along, we all sitting on the fence, and the colored soldier come along and asked her, did she want to go with him? And she said yes, she mounted one of them horses. She went on with them. I never did see her and hear tell of her no more.
When I think about Juneteenth, I think about it in the context of Emancipation Day celebrations that began January 1, 1863. They took on a whole new meaning when slavery was formally abolished after 1865. You would have had African American veterans who fought in the Civil War be prominent in these celebrations, dressed in their military garb, speeches from enslaved people, the most prominent Black politicians singing of hymns, spirituals, discussions of registering to vote. Enslaved people celebrating in public their newfound freedom was an act of resistance. Because we have to remember, slavery came to an end after a 4 years bloody Civil War. Still the bloodiest conflict in American history. Many people in the South and in the nation who did not want to see slavery abolished fought tooth and nail to block the 13th Amendment. The abolition of slavery created a huge humanitarian crisis in the South. Suddenly, 4 million people have very little means to take care of themselves, to support themselves, and do so in a really hostile environment. So the military was necessary to make sure that enslaved people got the food, the medicine, the shelter that they needed in order to survive. They're also there to protect, to the extent that that was possible, freed people from violence, from recriminations, from slaveholders, from Confederates who still hadn't given up the fight.
And I remember, and the Yankees stopped here, and the Yankees stopped back on the corner of Square, and they prosecuting people, you know. We go to the ground scene, and they take them, hang them up with a stone. That's the punishment they got. Next time you see, they come a whole troop of Yankees, all riding horses. Big guns hanging on. And I said, Mama, where are they going? They said, they're all going home now.
When the last federal troops leave the South, it's a signal to Southerners. The federal government wasn't going to put its might into ensuring the civil rights of Black people would be observed. You have 20, 30 years later, Black people being lynched in public, and there isn't a federal anti-lynching law to protect them. In most communities in America, there's a history of lynching and racial violence, and very few communities have marked that, commemorated that. Every decade since the end of slavery, Black people have been more educated, accrued more wealth, more status in American society. Every decade since 1865. But there's been one constant, and that constant is the presence of random racist violence. What I see in George Floyd's murder was a white police officer attempting to dominate and to subdue a Black man who was not resisting, who could not resist. Even though slavery came to an end in 1865, the desire to master and dominate Black bodies did not. And we have never dealt with that. These are the kinds of stark realities that are highlighted during Juneteenth. If Black people's lives can be expunged through racist violence and no one is held accountable, How free are we? Are we free?